Okay, we have so much energy right now. I also just had
We're
my second
coming in
coffee of the day,
hot.
which I don't normally do
That's
that.
late for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm doing Pilates after this. We don't
Oh,
record
okay.
this late typically. It's
No, we don't.
3:45.
And you
I
have a
needed
hard
a little
45
energy.
minutes.
I
So
also didn't
here we
sleep well,
go.
which I want to tell you why I didn't sleep well.
Full moon?
No, but like of
Blue
course.
supermoon? Yeah.
So last night was a little blue supermoon. Hope everyone did some manifesting. Also, welcome back. Hi.
Oh, hi. Hello.
We are talking way too fast. We can't drink coffee in the middle of the day. So last night, supermoon manifesting. Yay, yay, yay. I am sound asleep, snug as a bug in a rug. My fire alarm goes off at 4
Oh my
a.m.
God. No way.
just in my unit. Well, at first I couldn't tell if it was just in my unit. Like it just went off really loud, like 3 blares. Obviously, I've never shot out of bed faster in my whole entire life. We have
You were
fire
me the other
trauma.
day.
Yeah,
Remember? Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, we do have fire trauma. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We have fire trauma. Like I was like, no. Shoot out
Hmm.
of bed. The alarm stops. Like by the time I'm like putting on pants, it stops. So I was like, okay, maybe it was just in the building and like the wind triggered it because that happens
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
I immediately look at my phone to check like what time it is. I look at my phone and I turn it off of DND.
Hmm.
And the first notification that I see is a CNN notification about a bunch of people that had died in a burning building in Johannesburg.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm like, that's the first thing I see. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, 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 no.
what's going on?
Anxiety on 12. Yeah.
Hmm. So I like put on pants and then I go downstairs to like look through the peephole to like I don't hear anyone going outside. Like I'm
Right.
like, okay. I check my stove, like nothing's on fire. No
Yeah.
gas, nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I get back in bed. Within 5 minutes, it happens again.
Absolutely not.
3 rings, and that's it. But like blaring. So I'm like, oh, it's just in my unit. Cause then I look up and I see the red light blinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, my fucking batteries died, but there was no chirping. Like, sometimes it'll chirp to like let you know that it's dying.
That is hilarious. Yeah.
It wasn't happening. And so then I'm Googling, like, can like low battery trigger a like beeping, like a full alarm
That's
to go off?
exactly what happened to me.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally what
Oh my
happened to Meadow.
God. Like
And
the week before. Yeah.
the week before, Meadow thought someone was breaking into her house because her alarm went off because her batteries were low.
And I was also alone.
Yeah.
And I'm never alone. It's terrifying. Was your
Yeah.
heart racing? It was
Racing.
terrifying.
I mean, I was just like, oh, wait, I could have run a marathon.
Nervous system triggered. Yeah.
Immediately. And then I was just like, what the fuck? So then I'm Googling like what the fuck to do. Then it's like telling you that if you take out the battery and you like hit reset, by the way, I just bought a big ladder so like I can reach it. But then it's like
took the words out of my mouth.
it's saying like if you press the reset button, like the alarm will go off for like a little bit and then it'll stop. But then I'm like, what if it doesn't stop? It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm alone. Like I don't
Yeah.
even want to try to do that
No, just
right
take it
now.
down. Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I didn't do anything. I just like literally sat in bed and I was like, for the love of God, I texted my maintenance man
Yeah.
at 4 a.m. and was like, hey, sorry for the 4 a.m. text. When you start your shift tomorrow, like knock on my door.
Please. Yeah.
And he did, thank God. 8 a.m.
And so it only
knocked on
did
my
the
door.
twice and it was
It just did the
fine.
twice and then I fell back asleep. I literally said a prayer. I was like,
Weird.
please just let me fucking sleep. You know how my
Yeah.
9 hours is for me. Let me wake up
Yeah.
fine tomorrow morning. Like, let this just be the batteries. Bye. And it was, but apparently you're supposed to, in my Googling, it says that you're
Yes.
supposed to change and check your batteries every 6 months. But
Huh.
battery life, so I set a fucking alarm on my calendar to remind me. But the battery
Just
life
add me
is
to that invite.
literally the battery life on a smoke detector, though, those batteries are 5-year long batteries. So why would you be changing them every 6 months? Or you're just
You're
checking
telling
them every
me.
6 months?
I didn't even know you were supposed to wash your hairbrushes. I think adulting is just, I don't understand how people are doing this. Like, I'm like,
No.
or is this just in everyone's calendar? Do people just remember? Like, how do people with full-time jobs and
They
dogs that they
say
walk and dishes to wash? Like, how's everyone doing everything?
so they said Google told me that a way to
They.
remember is every time there's daylight savings or like the time changes,
Oh, I like that
that's
one.
your mark to check your smoke detectors
Yeah,
and
that's a
like
good
do
one.
your sweep of like
6
household
month, whatever.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. clean the oven, which
Mhm.
I'm sure is supposed to be once a month, but like any of us are doing
Yeah.
that too.
I mean, I was maybe awake for 45 minutes to an hour, and I acted this morning as if I was, like, put through the test of time. Like, I slept in until 10. Like, he
Of
came
course
and
you
knocked on
did.
my door at 8. I was like, "Woo!" Woke up at 8, let him
Yeah.
in. We had a whole little talk. He leaves. God bless him, thank God. And then I'm like,
Back in bed.
God, I just such a rough night. I gotta go back to sleep. 10 a.m. What am I gonna do when
Honestly,
I have a
though,
child?
yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. We'll take that one day at a time. Let's table
Yeah.
that for now. Wow, I can't believe that we're too aligned. It's scary.
I
Like
know.
that's almost like a week to the day,
Mhm.
except for it was my security, not my fire alarm, but same, same.
And we were both
Except
alone,
for
and
I
then
thought
you
someone was
live.
breaking in. You
Yeah,
think
it's
fire, I
scary.
think break in. No,
Yeah.
both equally scary.
And, like, you live with Aaron, so, like,
Right.
it's more random that you were alone. Like, I don't
Right.
live with Zoe, so it's not as random for me to be alone, but
But still,
I texted him as if he's gonna fucking answer me. That man is on
I
D&D
know.
for hours. I texted him and I was like,
Like, wake
"The
up.
alarm's going off. I don't know what to do," and he's not gonna help me.
6 hours later, hey.
I just, like, need someone to know, like, where to find the body. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm one
Yeah,
of those people.
absolutely. Oh, I am too. Why do you think we have each other's location? Like our little Sims. Just in case.
Literally.
Just in
I
case.
checked on you last
Yeah.
night. You were home.
No, was I good? Thank you. Thanks for lecking. Thanks for checking.
For
Check on me when
lecking?
I'm gone. For
Yeah.
lecking. Did you
Mhm.
do any full moon rituals?
I just, first of all, went outside and stared at her because she was showing off. So bright, so beautiful. Like,
Beautiful, but also Aaron and I were like, it didn't. I feel like Aaron and I are always like, anytime some beautiful astrological situation happens, never feels like it's happening for us. We're like, we are in the wrong part of the world where it's like never that unique. I feel like other random full moons are sometimes bigger and brighter than the one we were seeing,
fair. Yeah, I think I
which
just
just like
have a
maybe
good
it's where we're
view.
located. Yeah, you do. You
Yeah.
absolutely
Because
do.
she
You
was, I'll
absolutely do.
send you a photo. It was like
We have to
front and
drive to go find her. Yeah.
no, I could see it from my balcony and like front and
Oh,
center. So she looked
gorgeous.
really big and very close and really
Gorgeous.
clear. Like you could see all her little
Cool.
crevices and
I
stuff.
love that. Yeah, I did see
Yeah,
that.
that was
Mine
clear.
was super orange, like felt very yellow orange. How
Yes,
about
mine too.
yours?
What'd you do? I just journaled a little before I went to bed.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hmm.
I can't believe I haven't even told you this. You're going to love this. Well, one, we had a little date night. Of course, we ate ice cream. We went and had to go drive and find the moon, sat outside, told her our intentions, and then I journaled. But not only did I journal, I finished my goddamn last page of the journal on the blue supermoon the fucking day before I'm going on my witch trip.
Oh, we
And
should
that
tell the people
journal got
about
me through, we should, that journal got me through the end of 2021 to now,
huge
August 2023.
the
Like that is
changes.
an era.
Yeah.
And now I literally wrote like I'm closing you, you're complete. I put in all those problems to the bookshelf and we're on to the next chapter. Like consider it done. I actually want to
Oh,
read you my very first page I ever wrote and my very last page
I
I
would
ever
love
wrote.
to. Finishing a journal is a really special moment. You and I are also extremely
Sentimental.
sentimental, nostalgic people, you know?
Aaron even more so. He drives me nuts with that shit.
Really?
Oh my god, when we moved out of my first apartment, I'm like, okay, like let's go. We're doing this, and he's like, puts his arm around me. Take a moment, look around.
Oh,
I'm
why am
like,
I
chop
shocked?
chop, get
He's
me out of
me.
here. No, he's you. I threw out a couch recently, that old $300 bullshit from Walmart I've had for 6 years. He literally had a conniption. That was our first couch together. You didn't even, you did. What if I want, we're going to have a home full of like the most decrepit things ever because Aaron has to hold on to everything because they're meaningful. I'm like,
Okay, yeah,
get
sorry,
rid of
Aaron.
it.
No.
Come on.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not like
ridiculous. He
that.
made a
That's
whole thing
ridiculous.
out of it. I was like, I love you so much. You are so sweet. I'm throwing everything out.
Oh, sweetie. And there's just like always a story and always a
Yeah,
deeper
exactly.
meaning and XYZ that
Yeah.
attaches with it. Sweetie, let it go.
No, literally. I'm like, babe, we
Oh.
have both learned the hard way that you don't attach memories to physical objects because we've both
Mm-hmm.
lost things of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's the worst thing ever. So I'm like, hello, get rid of the fucking $300 couch, babe. It sucks.
Dude, that stuff is it's so interesting because like my brain went to someone like people like my parents, right? Who like you think about people that grow up that don't have much. And so then when they get older, maybe they do get more attached to those things because like you didn't
Yeah.
have it and you grip on.
Right.
But then you also attach these immigrants and people that like were stripped of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody like my mom, who that happened to her and her family twice,
Mm-hmm.
once, like by the government and once by Mother Nature.
Right.
And that like you detach
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much from material things. What are you unpacking? Tell me. Tell me the tea.
Okay, let's start with this one came from a drive home from LA a
Mhm.
couple weeks ago where I
Mhm.
just get on my own little thing.
Mhm.
So it all started with like it's the TLDR is the way in which we demonize the poor and people who use substances. And the reason it got triggered is because I did not know who Maddie Healy was. And this is like everyone's talking about Taylor Swift and Maddie Healy and all whatever. And I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know who he is. I've never listened to
Mhm.
the 1975 in my life. People are obsessed. Like, what's the tea? And so
Mhm.
our good friend Annika, shout out, who works in music, was like telling me about him. And so was Riley. And they're like, he like, is a heroin addict, but he makes this good music and blah, 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 and whatever, and yada, yada, yada. And so I was listening to them on my drive home because I had never heard it. And I was just thinking, as someone who comes from a family that has substance challenges that quite frankly could put Maddie Healy's to the fucking bed, like the way in which we prop up like they're artists and they're full of emotion and they just can't control themselves and the substances and it's the glamour and the lifestyle.
Mhm.
And like if someone passes away like Amy Winehouse and like the way in which we like revere those people, yet people like the people in my family that are also as brilliant and as artistic that you'll never know and never heard of that have issues the same if not worse are just completely
Mhm.
fucking demonized in terms of the way we speak about them, what resources we give to them. Like I literally started crying in the car. This was not the same as the Caterpillar. It might have been the same as the Caterpillar drive. But I was very emotional. It might have been the same, honestly. But I was just like, it's so fucking sad the way that like
Mhm.
fame can just like negate all the characteristics that we would place to someone of the exact same.
Mhm.
It just made me really sad. And then
Mhm.
obviously, if for people that don't know, my fiance works with folks that are experiencing mental health issues and are unhoused. And the way in which we treat the unhoused, it literally makes me laugh because it is the most um like contradictory and fucked up and like countered. It just makes no sense. Like they don't want people are like, not in my backyard, I don't want to unhouse people
Mhm.
on the street, so they make it illegal to camp, so they're just shooing everyone away. But then you're also like getting rid of, if they're not there when they're shooing them away, they pick up all their stuff and throw it out. So now you just got rid of their only ID voucher that they have, any opportunity to get into a shelter. So now you've given them no other option but to
Mhm.
be arrested or to live on the street. You're making living on the street illegal. You're setting up no community housing or support systems or other things in place that would actually solve the issue. Like it's just, they don't want to deal with it. So let's make it illegal, but let's set up nothing to actually solve the problem. And meanwhile, I'm watching all these gorgeous videos on the internet of tiny homes and architecture and the unique architecture of like raising the quality of life in Asian countries in these small compact cities. Why the
Mhm.
fuck are we not doing that out here and building
Mhm.
little communities and like utilizing you would save money. You would save money. It just, the way we demonize people that just need help is frankly infuriating. That's my rant. Thank you for coming.
No, I mean, an extremely vital and important one. And that distinction literally gave me chills because at first I was like, where are you going with the
A lot of
artist thing?
places. Yeah.
No, I was like, where is she going with this? Because the way that you started, I was like, that doesn't sound like Meadow to like be like, why the way that you were talking. And then I was like, oh, it clicked.
Uh-huh.
It clicked. Because it is
That's usually how
extremely true.
conversations with me
It
go.
it it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Humans are humans are humans.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense that we're putting somebody on a pedestal because of
Mhm.
fame and money and exposure and whatever. And then they could have take away one talent or take away one day of good luck, and they could have been the other person that we're
Like, they can
demonizing.
sing and dance a little bit better and got a little bit more famous, and it's
Mhm.
just like the way in which you speak about both camps is just so
Mhm.
yeah, there's no other word but infuriating. Like, it's like
Mhm.
I feel my spine and like my nervous system
Mhm.
shake talking about it because it just is like rattling.
I mean, this was the conversation that we were having with Mina B about the value and importance of community care and the value and
Exactly.
importance of just being just slightly more empathetic towards other people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because we do
And
live
even
in
the
an
way,
extremely individualistic society in the US.
yeah. Yeah. And then you add capitalism
Mhm.
and the way people want to monetize those solutions or those
Mhm.
care services or those resources that are so
Mhm.
desperately needed for communities. You know exactly how I feel about this.
Yes.
And it's just, I have no words. Like, it is so narcissistic
Mhm.
and so mean. Like,
Mhm.
I don't have the words.
For anybody listening who is curious about ways in which they can help,
Mhm.
what would you say?
I mean, the first and easiest thing, like every time we ask this question, educate yourself.
Mhm.
Educate yourself on what substance issues look like. Educate yourself on like who is unhoused in your area. How did they get there? What does it look like? What resources are there actually out there? How do you qualify for them? And then if maybe go and talk to these people. Like, I don't know how many people I talk to when I share Aaron's job that are like so enamored, or the amount of times that people think that they have like tea and a good solution and a good idea, and it's so abundantly clear to us that like you've never spoken to a person experiencing homelessness in your entire life.
Mhm.
Like, it's just get curious about what's going on and educate yourself on it. I think it's like the quickest, easiest, and most of the time free way to come up with really beautiful ways to contribute to society.
Like if you're listening to this podcast, you have access to some sort of device in which you're listening to it on. You have access to some sort of
Absolutely.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, get involved. Anyway, what are
Get
you
involved.
unpacking? Oh, wait, I have another quick
What?
one.
Yes,
Can I
go.
interrupt?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Just kind of interesting timing because it's about to be September, which is
Mm.
Suicide Prevention Month. We have
Mhm.
National Suicide Prevention Week. I heard, well, Aaron heard a new phrase recently, and he wants me to attribute it to the Joe Budden podcast. Okay, I don't listen to it, but
Oh, okay.
uh-huh. And they were talking about someone, and they use the term self transition in place of
Okay.
suicide.
Yep.
And I, as a sibling of someone that died by suicide, I was like, I really like that because
Okay.
I think sometimes that's
Yeah.
empowering. And I liked it a lot for me. And immediately I text Michaela, oh my God, I heard this new term and I really like it for my brother. And immediately she was like, that's the most fucked up thing I've ever heard. Like, I, meaning Michaela, was thinking about youth that die by suicide. And she's like, that's not a choice. Like, your brain isn't fully developed. Some adult failed you. That's not a self transition. That's not empowerment. And I was like, ooh, that's a really good point. So I think it's a very interesting term to use. I don't think it could be
Mm.
applied as a one size fits all model,
Mhm.
but I just found it really interesting that my gut reaction as a sibling was like, oh, wow, I love that. That's what it feels like my sibling did almost. And then Michaela's was like, absolutely fucking not, which was equally as valid.
I've been hearing that term a lot
Have you?
recently too. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's why my face was like, "Oh," cuz I have been hearing that term a lot too, and the first time that I heard it, I was like, "I've never heard it said that way."
Yeah, me
Um
neither.
and it was in regards to youth. What you said about your perspective and Michaela's perspective is a beautiful example of why I don't think that having these like hyper specific labels that we're recategorizing everything all the time, like I think sometimes it's often just a waste of our time and frankly like a distraction from us just trying to fix the issue at hand. And so I think however
Couldn't
you
agree
want to
more.
say it in a way that makes you feel safe and comfortable, makes the people experiencing that safe and comfortable, like that's okay with me because I understand both sides. I understand completely
Yeah.
both sides, especially with that phrase, because it can add this like beautiful light of like you're transitioning away from the pain and like, all of that in the way that you view it with your brother. But I also
Hmm.
understand Michaela's perspective. I said it on was it Mina's
Hmm.
episode that or no, on
Yeah.
Joanna's episode. I was like,
Oh,
labels
Joanna's.
can
Yeah.
be extremely empowering, but they can
Yep.
also exclude and put us in boxes and do all of these other things that off sometimes can distract us from like focusing on the
Yeah.
actual issue.
I tend to be in more of that camp. I think when I was in college, I was very much about staying up to date on the terms that made people feel safest and the most seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I worked a job where, you couldn't say the word crazy. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
very much about it. And I feel like the older I get, the more I, again, like you say, like agree with, use verbiage that makes other people feel safe and seen. But
Mm-hmm.
I think this constant redefining
Yeah,
is frankly distracting from the issue at hand.
I think so too. And I think
I lean in that camp a lot more recently.
that there's variations to it, right? Like, I think, if we're talking about however many years ago that we recently started talking finally about pronouns, like that's a different conversation,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
there's nuance and there's like everything else in the world, there's a scale.
Right.
But Meadow and I are specific, or I'm specifically talking about just like reinventing the wheel on
Suicide or other things like
not
that.
even reinventing the wheel on suicide, but yeah, just reinventing the wheel on like words that may have already made somebody feel safe, but now we're trying to like that are just distracting from like the actual issue, and which is like how can we address the mental health crisis that is happening in this
Exactly.
country, and how can we help people that are experiencing suicidal thoughts, ideation, like how do we get to that, and how do we fix that, and how do we help those people? Instead we're like talking about whether
Talking.
or not a phrase makes you feel good.
Right. Which is my favorite TikTok right now is when he's like, can someone tell me if alien is an intergalactic slur? Because you will
Yeah.
not catch me out here talking. And I was like, this is a case in point. Like that is the
Best TikTok
funniest
ever.
TikTok
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Literally.
Too much.
Literally. Is it an intergalactic
Yeah.
slur?
That made me laugh so I sent it to my mother. That shit made me laugh so
Yeah.
hard.
I loved both of those unpackings, and I think that those
Thank
unpackings
you.
were extremely valuable for me to hear and to listen to. So thanks for sharing with me and for the community.
Cool.
And I'm sure
Well,
a lot
thank you
of
very
people are going to
much.
feel. We have a lot of people who have experienced substance abuse or have family members that have experienced substance abuse.
Absolutely. Or maybe friends and family that have died by suicide.
That I'm sure have
Yeah.
had very similar thoughts to the ones that you shared on your drive home.
Also, if you have thoughts on what we're sharing, come talk to us in the DMs or on Patreon because we like talking about the things that we said this recently to someone that it was like a private interview, not a public interview, but
Mhm.
it was very fun for Gabby and I to kind of
Yeah.
listen to ourselves talk about the podcast recently. And what we were saying was we never share things on here to make people feel the same way we do. I mean, it's in the name of the
Mhm.
show, but we think it's so like the show isn't about us and our dynamic, it's about these topics. So the most fun thing in the world is to hear that people that listen to this take these topics and go discuss them amongst their own community. Like that is so much fun for us and like frankly the point of the show. So if
Mhm.
you have a good conversation around this or out of this or a fun point or question, please send it to us.
Let us know. Have the conversations with your friends. Ask them. Maybe they
Yeah,
have
exactly.
completely different opinions than we do and that you do.
And it's so fun to argue. You watch Gabby and I do it all the time. We argue respectfully all the time. It's so much fun. Healthy conflict. Remember when we were fighting over who could pay for the coffee and we were like, healthy conflict.
Oh my, we do that often.
It's fun.
Who's going to get the sandwich? Who's going to get the coffee?
Exactly. We have our whole life to fight about it. It's the
Yeah,
best.
it's great.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
I'm going to try to grab Mahal and she might run. So can we?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, what are you unpacking? Thank you.
I'm replying.
Oh, cute. Is it strawberry?
No, vanilla.
I like the vanilla. I have the
They
vanilla too.
fixed their, first of all, this packaging is cute. They fixed the packaging. It doesn't peel anymore. And
Yeah.
they fixed the formula.
The graininess.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because mine used to get grainy too and now
Me
they
too.
don't. And I love it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I can't wait to try strawberry.
You set me up for my unpacking, so thank you so much, because you were saying
Ooh.
we are not here to make you agree with us, which
Okay.
is something that I am unpacking. So I have been thinking about the way in which you argue as a couple and the way in which you
Ooh.
handle things as a couple.
Fun.
And it's so individualized. And I think that's something, if you would have asked me a decade ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have told you that in a relationship, while of course it's important to have differences, you need to really be on the same page about certain things. And I would have really driven home that driven home
I can't do
that
past tense verbs.
yeah, the idea that like you need to be on the same page about the way you fight and making sure that you're communicating in the same way and all of these things. When in reality, like that's not true. And I don't think that
Mm.
anymore. I think being in something that I've learned throughout the many relationships that I've had, whether it be romantic or otherwise,
Mhm.
it is so valuable to be with somebody that has a completely different skill set than you, first of all, because I think it's
Mhm.
so incredible to be able to bring to the table something that they might not be able to, and then they can bring to the table something maybe you can't, and you like fill each other out in that way. Like you're so strong separately, but you're so strong together, and you sort of like
Hello,
complete,
us.
yeah, you complete the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Meadow and I say it all the time. It's why this works is we don't want to
Yeah.
do the exact same thing. We don't have the exact same skill set. Like it works.
Similar enough and different enough. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
And I think the same goes for argument styles and fighting styles. And it's something that I've been
Mhm.
thinking about because I remember like in the beginning of the relationship that I'm in right now, my way of arguing is I need to vent. Like I need to be able to vent and talk about it right
To the
now
person or with someone else?
to the person.
Okay. Like, talk it out in real time
Yes.
as it's
I
happening.
need to
Got it.
talk it out in real time as it's happening. My boyfriend doesn't like to do that. He needs to like step away for a minute and then be able to regroup and talk about it, which is why I'm like, if I were in Meadow's head, she'd be like, that checks out because I just get the phone call of listening to Gabby vent because she has to yell about it to someone and it's not happening to her boyfriend
Right.
right now. So we're different in that way. Like if I'm heated, I need to take a step back for a second because I'm just not going to be nice. So I like need to remove
Right.
myself, but I got to talk about it sooner rather than later. He is not like that. And at first it used to drive me nuts. And I used to feel very shut shut down almost, and I felt like, do I care more, or like do I need to talk, like why can't he just address it? We're pushing things under the rug. Like that is my perception towards it. And we've been together for a year, and it's taken me a minute to get to the place that I understand let like as long as we both have mutual respect for each other's styles of going about things, which we do have, there's a way that you can meet in the middle. Like I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast where he was talking about this with his wife, and he was me in the dynamic of like needing to vent. She's like, I'll talk to you in 2 days. And he was like, so we need to find somewhere in the middle. If she needs 2 days and I need to talk about it now, let's talk in a day. Let's figure it out right now. Like, don't put me through hell, but I'm not going to put you through hell by like making you sit through a conversation you're not ready to have. And I've just been really thinking about that in terms of every relationship that I have with the people that like mean a lot to me, and understanding the beauty and power of involving yourself in the dance of how other people go about things. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. I love it so much. And I just have the biggest smile on my face because the blue supermoon of last night, one of the
Mhm.
big themes was looking at our relationships and what we value in them and
Mhm.
shifting that as necessary to how
Yeah.
we see ourselves now. So it's just like you're so aligned with the universe. It's amazing.
Thanks.
I love that. And it's
Thanks.
true. It's so true.
It's very true. And it also has me thinking about the growth that I have made and that the growth
Yeah,
that I've had,
absolutely.
because in the past, I might have turned to people in my life to tell me whether or not somebody's behavior was okay in my book.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't do that. Like
Mhm.
I can gauge what my boundaries are. I think
Mhm.
sometimes I call you like upset about shit, and that's
Sure, as we
different,
all do.
as we all do.
Yeah.
But I don't ever call you and I'm like, so do we need to break up?
Right.
Which
Right.
is something I would have done
Yeah.
years
In
ago.
the past.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
done years ago. Granted, it
Yeah.
was very different situations and like not anywhere near the relationship that I'm in now. But it just did make me reflect for a second on feeling really grounded and rooted in what I deem important and what my values are and what my boundaries are, and
Mhm.
being okay with the fact that those are different from maybe my family, maybe my friends. Like maybe they would handle situations in my relationship differently. They probably would. And like that's fine for them because this works
Mhm.
for us. And
Mhm.
him and I, like Zoe says it. He's like, people just have an understanding. Like
Mhm.
people just have an understanding. And I think that's like how it is in relationships, is like you can be on the outside looking in and try and project whatever your feelings are on something,
Whatever
but
narrative you
nobody,
want to attach to it. Yeah,
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 but
yeah.
it's like nobody really knows unless you're those two people.
Exactly.
And I think about the relationship that him and I have and like the respect that we both have for each other. And I said it to him the other day because like I'm someone who really likes to push. Like I
Mhm.
push people. And I'm
I'm a pusher
because I'm a
caddy.
pusher caddy. Katie, what's her name? Caddy? Yeah, Caddy.
Katie. Katie, but they call her
Katie
Caddy.
Heron. I like to feel pushed, so I
Mm-hmm.
push people in the sense of not
Mm-hmm.
pushing them away, but being like, you can do more, you can do
Right.
better, you can work on that more. Like I am that person, which is like fucking annoying if you do it a lot, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I acknowledge
Yeah.
that and I'm working on it. And so we were talking about that yesterday where I sort of like was like, I'm, own my side of it and was like, I'm sorry for like being a little overbearing with like the amount that sometimes I push
Mm-hmm.
you for certain things. And I was like, I just want you to know that I genuinely am okay with the fact that like you and I are not going to have the exact same way of getting to point B. But if our point B is the same, I think that's where the key is like if
Mm-hmm.
your destination and your goal for the relationship is aligned, that's what matters. It doesn't necessarily matter the steps that they take to get there or the steps that you take to get there because you're going to get there in different ways. Like think about the way that you look at somebody's healing, right? Like if him and I are both like
Mm-hmm.
really into manifestation right now, I might be super into TBM and he's super into TBM, but maybe I'm like I'm going to do the workshops every single day and maybe he's like I'm actually like listening to this podcast or I'm like working on this other thing. It used to like piss me off and I'd be like, "Why aren't you doing
Mm-hmm.
the workshops with me? Why aren't we doing it at the
Mm-hmm.
exact same time?" And like that's just not the way that shit goes. Like he's allowed to get to his destination in the way that works best for him.
You're headed in the same direction and taking different
Mhm.
routes.
Yeah.
Simple. And also, how beautiful is that? Because in a previous solo episode, you were talking about, I think we were both talking about like the way in which two different people come together in the service of like or perspective of
Mhm.
having children and like
Mhm.
what you pass on. And as my mother likes to remind me constantly, like every child you get is a different child. Like
Mhm.
one may be like you, one may be like him, one may be different. If you had the same thing, you wouldn't know how to help them. So because your kid is going to have an example of two different ways to process and the example of watching two people with different processing ways learn to respect those ways and
Mhm.
differences and how you balance and work together, like that is the most beautiful gift you can give to future generations. How cool.
Well, because that's the way you have to maneuver every single day life, whether you're talking about
Exactly.
working at your corporate job in an office and you and your manager have a different style of getting things done. You're talking about having a business partner. You're talking about a romantic partner. You're talking about the fucking person in front of you in line at Starbucks. Like you have to navigate relationships and moments of human interaction, understanding that not everybody is exactly
Shares
like
your
you
reality.
and
Yeah.
exactly shares your reality.
Because I think, isn't it Rick Rubin that talks about the vessel
Mm.
inside of us?
Mhm.
And the vessel is filled with every life experience you've ever had, how you've been raised, your biases, where you grew up, what your preferences are. And like everything we filter is through that vessel. Not one person will see something the way that you see it. And that's the most beautiful thing about humanity, and also a pretty frustrating one if you don't have the tools in which to understand that, accept that, and roll with it. The other day, Aaron and I were in the car and we got in like a little tiff over like, I very clearly gave him instructions on where he was going and he was confused about it, you know? And you know, when you get little tips like that. And then so we get in like a little tip about it. And then Aaron he's driving, he just goes, and I just burst out laughing. I was like, "Did you just cross your arms at me?" And he goes, "I'm upset and I got to get it out some way. So I'm doing it like this." And I just started hysterically laughing. I was like, "You are the cutest 5-year-old throwing a temper tantrum right now." And he sat like this. And then I was laughing so hard. Then he was laughing by the time he makes the left hand turn, you know, it's all over. But it just was like so cute
Oh,
and funny to watch the way in which he needed to process was going, harumph, and like process. I was like, "Are you kidding?"
oh
It just made me
my god.
laugh.
Your guys' fights
Yeah.
are hysterical. Do you know what that reminded me of though? Did I send you the TikTok of I sent it to Zoe and he was like, "This was funny. I concur."
Oh no.
It was a girl filming asking her boyfriend anything like throughout a 24-hour period and how every fucking time you ask a man for something, like they're just like, "Huh?" What? Like on the
Oh
first
my
go?
God.
You
Oh
never
my
just get
God.
like, they're not
Yeah.
listening. They're like, huh?
No, they're not
What?
listening. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Oh,
And I
we
sent
should
it to
do
him and I
that.
was like, this is you. And he was like,
That is
tis. Yes,
hilarious.
it is. It really
That
fucking
the
is.
amount of times that Aaron says to me, I am listening. See, I listened. I'm like, all right. I was just trying to think of like if Aaron and I fall into a camp of you and Zoe. And I think I definitely used to be more you. I think I'm becoming more Zoe, but I think we do like a balance of both. Like Aaron and I in fights will talk a little bit about it, step away for 20 minutes, talk a little bit about it, step away for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if it's larger or if like we need to come back with like more regulated nervous systems, I
Mm-hmm.
love telling people this tip because I think it's the best thing ever. And I had no other partners that did this. Aaron comes with the note on his phone of
Mm-hmm.
points prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes people hear that and feel like that sounds intimidating. And I'm like, that's actually the most thoughtful thing he could have
Yeah.
done because he took the time on his own when he was calm and was thinking about things and like really taking the time to
Mm-hmm.
process to make a list. And so when he comes back, he knows like if it gets emotional in a conversation, he knows what he's trying to say
Yeah.
and like what we're trying
Yeah.
to go
No,
over.
I
I
love that.
love when he does that.
I
Yeah, I
love
think it's
that.
so cool. It's
I
not the way I
love.
do it, but I
Mm-hmm.
love when he does it, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. I definitely take notes. I don't usually whip them out in the convo, but I take
Yeah.
notes. And something that I've noticed too is because I'm a little bit reactive, is I will.
The way I just bit my lip from going a little.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a
And then
little
I had to say it because
reactive.
it was funny.
Like him and I got into it recently about something, and it was like dumb. It was
Yeah.
dumb adjacent.
Sure. Yeah.
It was
I
dumb
know those.
adjacent. And like it wasn't a bit like we needed to talk about it, you know? And but I was really like pissed. But I
Mhm.
knew that it was dumb adjacent.
Right.
So I
You're like, how do I regulate these emotions? Because I
journaled
know it's, yeah, 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 yeah.
and I said the mean things. I got it out. I said like the aggressive ways that cuz that's the thing is I am not the type of fighter that will ever like maliciously say something to you with the intent of hurting you. Like that's just
Right.
we don't do that here, team.
Right.
Like we don't do that. But I definitely deliver things harshly
Mm-hmm.
and bluntly
Mm-hmm.
when it doesn't always need to be delivered that way. So I wrote it all out in the harshest tone possible.
Nice.
And then I was able to then make the points on like my notes app on my phone so that by the time that like we were coming together, like in an hour or two, I was.
Softer.
And do you know what actually helped? And I was like, maybe his fighting style does help. Is that this happened like on the way to a birthday dinner that we had to go to?
Oh, I know the one.
I am surely raised in a house where like your problems stay at home. Like you walk into public and your smile on your face. And also like this
Yeah.
was his friend group. So like I was not about to be
Right.
like the fucking bitchy girlfriend that's like mad.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
like we walk in, he like puts his arm around me and I'm like, don't touch me. Like with like a
Yeah.
smile across my face.
Huge smile. Get your
Don't
fucking
touch
hands
me.
off me if you know what's good for you.
No, like literally. He was like, are you still upset? And I was like, oh yes. Like,
You're like,
oh, like
can't you
huge
feel it?
smile.
I'm burning you. My shoulder
Yeah.
is on fire. Yeah.
No, literally. But then, like, the dinner was so fun that, like,
Yeah, you
by
get
the
out
end
of
of the
the
dinner,
bad
like,
mood.
I wasn't mad anymore. Like,
Yeah.
yes, we talked about it the next day. Like,
Right.
I was still pissed, but by the time we were walking out, it was like a
Yeah.
ha ha.
You're on pause.
We were able to pause, which honestly also was like, aw, look at us and maturity.
Totally.
Being able to
Totally.
pause the argument for a fun birthday dinner,
Totally.
and then we're going to come back to it.
That was literally my introduction to Aaron's friends. Like the first time I was ever going to meet Aaron's friends, we were moving someone. And so we were like
Mm,
up by 6 a.m., ready to move, the whole friend group meeting
testy.
up. And we got in a fight on the way there, like right before leaving. And I'm pissed. I'm don't
Yeah.
touch me pissed. And I'm like, not only that, but you just set me up to fail to meet your fucking friends. Like, absolutely not. So I was the most delightful, hilarious. I was
Mm-hmm.
helping so much. I was making
Mm-hmm.
friends. I was like, don't fucking talk to me all day. And then by the end of the day, you know, Karen, one of my best friends who just moved, fuck you if you're listening. It was like
Meadow's really
the
mad
end.
about this.
I was so mad about it. It was the end of the night. And it was like a 12 to 14 hour move day. It was like a big day.
Jesus.
It was a whole thing. It was the end of it because we were moving their parents. It was a whole thing. At the end of the
Okay,
night, we're all
underrated.
like,
Like when friends help friends and friends'
yeah,
parents move. Jeez.
yeah, yeah, good friends. We're all like in the living room eating pizza and drinking beers or whatever. And I like went to get something. So then I'm like kind of like standing on this little area, kind of like looking at everyone for a sec. And I would just stand there. And Karen, and this is my first time ever meeting her, Karen just saunters up next to me, across her arms. She goes, "Look at these sons of fucking bitches making us move all day." It just starts like talking shit under her breath. And it just cracked me up. And I was like, okay, I love these people.
Yeah.
Like, these are my people. And then
Yeah.
I was like, fine with him. And I was like, actually, I could come in a bad mood and I still loved everybody and they loved me. So
Yeah.
God, I showed you.
No,
I really
literally.
showed you. That's my mom and I's favorite thing to do. Like when you like like, oh my God, I don't know. She gets frustrated at the grocery store and she's like, so then I bought 2 of them. And I'm like, and you know what? You showed them. They'll never forget that you bought 2 things of grapes. You showed it. That's my mom and I's favorite thing to say to
I
each
love
other.
that.
You showed them.
It's so fucking true. I showed him at that birthday dinner because
You
this was
showed
like
him.
and that birthday dinner too. Like I was ready.
Yeah.
So like we were
Yeah.
making people laugh, and I was watching this motherfucker
Yeah.
look back because we were sitting across from each other. I was watching
Yeah.
him laugh and like watch other people like me
Laugh at you. Yeah, exactly.
and like be like, "Oh my god, your girlfriend, haha!" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
motherfucker, we're gonna
That's
fight later."
fucking right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God. Isn't it fun to fight in long-term relationships? It's fun.
Mhm.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so much growth.
So
Look
much
at us go.
growth. And you just finished a journal, and now you're about to go have like the witchiest week of all time.
I'm going on a witch trip to Sedona. We're so excited. It's not even funny. We're going with Sammy from the Mayfair group, who you should all know and love because the Mayfair group. And also she's been on the pod. Or I'm going with my new friend Brooke, a Carnum LA, which I feel like half of our listeners at least know and also love.
Probably.
And then I'm going with Sammy's like most expansive, beautiful friend Steffi, who I've not met yet. But she, I believe, like runs a ton of wellness programming for beautiful
Cool.
resorts in Mexico and Tulum and stuff. And so we're literally going to like chase vortexes, charge our crystals, manifest. We're all talking about it. We're fucking ridiculous. But the fact that I finished my journal before this trip, first of all,
No.
Brooke is bringing me a journal, which is the
Great.
cutest thing ever. And we're just all talking about like, we are going to come back so tapped into our authentic and highest selves. We're going to like shake the universe.
No, literally, like it's like you're going to Hoffman.
We're initiating the coven. Like it's going to be insane. We're doing rituals. Yeah. We have the whole, like it's going to be, and I need
You need this, Meadow. You need this.
I need this. So
you need the rest and relaxation.
I'm manifesting so much shit for the pod. It's not even funny. So when we have a bunch of shit pop off in the next 6 months,
it was the vortex.
I told y'all it was the vortex.
Oh, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to hear. I can't wait to not talk to you. So you're like fucking offline.
Oh my God, it's going to be like the longest we don't talk.
And I can't wait to hear all about it.
Thanks. I'm so excited.
We should do a recap episode for Patreon and then don't tell me anything and then we'll just record.
Yes.
For Patreon.
Oh, I love when we do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Down.
Okay, we'll do that.
Done.
Love you.
Okay, guys. Well, love you. Thanks for listening. Rate and review. Send it to a friend.
Yeah. Send it to a friend.
Send it to a friend. Post about us on Instagram if you like us. Follow our memes. We're really funny on the internet sometimes.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, we post on YouTube. So if you're a visual person, go check out our YouTube channel. We do. Watch the video. I held in a burp the whole time I was saying that. All right.
Oh. Okay, bye.
Just girly things.
How's it going, y'all? It's Aaron. Don't let your Monday suck. Don't have those Sunday scaries. I'm tired of everybody waking up in the week saying, shit, it's Monday. You know what goes down? TMV releases every week on Mondays. Make sure you rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching YouTube, yes, TMV has a YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and ring that noti bell and never miss a thing. And also, join the TMV Familia by joining the Thoughts May Vary Patreon and by following @Thoughts May Vary Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for listening.
Great.
There you go.
Thanks, AB.
Got y'all.